Alright, what's going on, boys? We got a trade recap today for Thursday, May 29th. Took a win on the day. Nothing crazy, but we're going to go over the bias, what I was looking for, and I actually flipped my bias in the middle of the morning, and we'll go over what caused me to do that. And this was more of a higher time frame retracement. But yesterday pre-market last night, we displaced higher overnight. There was some tariff news. I'm not exactly sure what. It honestly doesn't even really matter. All that matters is the candlesticks on the charts for us, because we are technical traders, right? We displaced higher and opened up this 4-hour imbalance on NQ. In addition to that, ES did the exact same thing, and it got rid of the bearish S&T that was here at this daily buy side liquidity. And so I originally came into this morning, wanted to see this 4-hour fair value gap hold and just get bullish reactions to the upside. Pretty simple stuff. And then I log on this morning to the 15-minute chart, and I noticed that we're just kind of slowly fading away, and there's no sort of bullish structure that has been formed yet. And then you can see this first 15-minute candle of the morning. Look at how bearish this is. Just completely displaces to the downside. And there's no sign of us respecting this higher time frame 4-hour imbalance. And this is why we use higher time frame imbalances and then zoom into the lower time frames to see if it's being like. This is why I trade the way that I trade. And this is why we zoom into higher time frame imbalances, right? So we see that we are further displaced to the downside, not respecting this 4-hour imbalance at all. We've already came to equilibrium. We would have, if we were going to hold this, in my opinion, and get bullish reactions, at least for this morning, we wouldn't have this candle right here and this big of a displacement, right? So after this happens, what is my next draw on liquidity? Zooming out, we have a daily imbalance down here. This is also the most prominent low within the range, even just looking on the 15-minute chart. Where's the next draw on liquidity here? The next obvious low is right here, and this is the low liquidity that is nestled, creating the daily imbalance that was formed yesterday. So this now becomes my draw on liquidity after this big displacement. So zooming in, I'm looking for any sort of higher time frame imbalance to execute off of and get bearish reactions out of. I notice, so I was zoomed into the 5-minute chart, and we had to open up this 5-minute imbalance here, 5-minute imbalance here. Now I'm not just automatically, like I said, similar to this 4-hour imbalance. Just because we come into the 5-minute doesn't mean I'm just gonna automatically go short, because I don't know how far we're gonna retrace to, right? We could come all the way back up to this higher one. We don't know, but I noticed that we had this 5-minute imbalance. I then zoom into the 5-minute imbalance once we tap into it, into the 1-minute chart, and this is just pretty simple stuff, man. We come up, we run through the last remaining bullish imbalance within the range. This is the 5-minute inverse continuation model that I talked about in my strategy video. And this is the last remaining bullish for value gap in the range. We inverse it right here. I wait for a pullback to the inverse for value gap, entered here, stops are above the high, and then once we come down to this internal swing low, because the risk to reward isn't great, I just simply move stops to break even, and then you can hold it for as long as you would like. Personally, I was content with just taking a 1.5 RR, because in situations like this, you don't know if we're gonna like come down here and then come up, stop yourself at break even, and then get that follow through. So what am I okay with? Like, I'm okay with a 1.5 RR trade. That's like the minimal that I will go for. So that's what I ended up taking profits on that. If it was an expansion model, if we were expanding on the higher time frames, then it would have made sense to, maybe have that 2-to-1 risk to reward. But because the higher time frames are retracing and rebalancing, this is a retracement to this daily imbalance, even though the daily chart is bullish, right? I went ahead and just did 1.5 RR on that, and so took profits there, and that was pretty simple stuff. We ended up coming up and tapping this 1-minute bearish imbalance, and then we got that follow through and this was the trade for me this morning. And then you can see if we come back out and zoom out, we eventually did come back down and tap into this daily imbalance on both of the indexes here. So we have now swept this high internally, so we're gonna have to wait and see how we react off of this daily imbalance in regards to our bias throughout for tomorrow, which is Friday, the end of the week. Seeing how we respect it, but because we have swept it, if we continue to get bearish reactions and kind of run through it, then our next draw on liquidity can be this daily sell side liquidity right here, and then eventually this new week opening gap from last week that still hasn't been filled. So that's the potential. Honestly, that's what I would prefer because of these two wicks. We swept it yesterday, swept this daily high again. There's obviously a lack of follow through here, so that's potential for tomorrow. Just gonna have to wait and see what kind of structure forms overnight. But yeah, simple trade for me this morning, and that's why I was able to flip my bias. We can also come out and see that after the first 30 minutes of the market, we ran through and inversed this 4-hour imbalance. So that's when the 4-hour candle closes, is at 10 a.m. New York time, and we can see that we inversed it, so that even further gives us confirmation of this internal short trade right here. And then it was also another added confluence within the 950 to 1010 macro. So textbook stuff. Yeah, just have to wait and see what happens overnight and what kind of structure forms to determine the bias for tomorrow. But yeah, I'm not going to drag this video on too long. I appreciate you watching. Let me know if y'all took a trade today. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.